Joining me now is Joel Ebert. He's the state government reporter for the Tennessean. Elizabeth Coe is the state government reporter for the Miami Herald. Megan Messerly, the politics reporter for the Nevada Independent. Todd Gilman, the Washington bureau chief for the Dallas Morning News. Hey, Todd, I'm going to begin with you. Your race, the race that you're covering, might not be the closest in the nation, but it seems like it's the marquee event, the main event. Why is that the case? Why has it captivated so many of us across the country?
Well, plenty of reasons. For one thing, Texas has not elected a Democrat statewide since 1994. That is a very long drought for Democrats, and if they can ever take Texas blue, the presidential contests for the foreseeable future will be, a slam dunk. Ted Cruz has pretty much 100% name identification around the country. He is a highly polarizing figure on the national level and certainly in Texas as well. And so here comes this otherwise obscure Congressman Beto O'Rourke, and he catches lightning in a bottle. He has raised $70 million. It is a record for any Senate candidate ever, anywhere. And Democrats are really fired up in Texas, and they are wanting to rein in President Trump, send Trump a message, and if they can punish Ted Cruz in the process, that's even better for them. So, there's a lot at stake in Texas, not just this one seat. And we have two polarizing figures, Trump and Cruz, who Democrats are geared up to try to take down.
Megan, in Nevada, quite a sea change from Dean Heller. What was the comment that he made in the last cycle, the 100%, 99% comment, and how has he changed?
Right. So back in 2016, as some folks might remember, Senator Dean Heller here in Nevada said that he was 99% against Trump and 100% against Clinton. He was not a big fan of the president during the 2016 campaign, and we've seen a complete turnaround this cycle. The president has been out here campaigning for Dean Heller, building up support with the base. At a rally in Las Vegas just a few weeks ago, the president said that he had no better friend in Congress than Dean Heller. And recently at a rally in Elko, Dean Heller was similarly complimentary of the president, saying that everything the president touches turns to gold, obviously an apt reference in a state where mining is still an important part of the economy. It's been a complete turnaround, though, for Dean Heller, but he really needs the support of the Republican base in order to win this election. And by all measures, he's done a good job of sort of moving back, to the right, currying support with the base, and touting his support for the president, which has been important because he wasn't immediately behind repeal and replace plans in the Senate to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. He eventually got there and supported a vote to move that forward. He actually ended up being right there on Kavanaugh. He was quick to support, Judge Kavanaugh's confirmation. So it's been a change over the cycle. We've seen him, be quicker to support the president's proposals, and he's often talked about, the president's tax reform package and how great that is for the state of Nevada. So he's been very complimentary, and we'll have to see if that ends up, being enough if Republicans, turn out in support of Dean Heller, those who supported the president in 2016.
Elizabeth, in Florida, not one but two barn burners, and I'm wondering if the candidates under those respective labels are assisted by their running mates, quote unquote. Here's what I'm trying to say. My state of Pennsylvania has a tradition of ticket splitting. Time and again, we would send Arlen Specter to the U.S. Senate as a Republican, but we'd also be sending the quote unquote real Bob Casey to the state governor mansion. So if Gillum is running so well in the gubernatorial race in comparison to the Senate race, does that necessarily help Rick Scott? Hopefully you're following my very cumbersome question.
I kind of understand what you're trying to say, and I guess I'll put it this way. You're right that there are two really competitive races happening right now, both for the position of Florida governor and for Bill Nelson's seat in the U.S. Senate. We're looking at a situation right now where Bill Nelson, the incumbent Democrat, you might expect to have an advantage, but he's going up against Rick Scott, who is the current governor of the state, term limited, has extremely high name ID in Florida for a number of reasons. On the other hand, you're looking at a governor's race where Andrew Gillum, currently the mayor of Tallahassee, is going up against a particularly conservative former Congressman Ron DeSantis. Gillum has gained a lot of enthusiasm in the race, and some Democrats are thinking that what Gillum is able to bring to the table is voter turnout that might help Bill Nelson in a race that on both sides is too close to call. The issue is that some polls are showing Bill Nelson underperforming in comparison to Andrew Gillum in terms of how much support they're able to draw. So there is this very slim possibility, which my colleagues have written about, of a Gillum-Scott win. It's unlikely, but it is possible.
Joel Ebert, you would think in Tennessee, given the enormous margin, and I could say this for a whole host of states, the enormous margin by which President Trump won in 2016, that the Republican candidate by this stage would be comfortably ahead. But in the Marsha Blackburn-Bredesen race, that's not the case. Why not? Why that disconnection between the president's showing just 2 years ago and where Blackburn finds herself today?
Well, it seems that Phil Bredesen is obviously one of the most popular Democrats this state has ever produced. Marsha Blackburn, on the other hand, his opponent, is a fiery partisan who has really tried to rile up the base. She has really tied herself to President Donald Trump, who is planning to come here one more time before the election, which kind of shows you that the election is really close. We've had several polls that say it's actually Blackburn's advantage right now. More recently, there have been 2 that said it's a dead heat. But given that there has been millions of dollars spent in this race by outside groups affiliated with Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell, it shows that the race really does remain a toss-up. Bredesen's moderate tone and appeal to independents has really been a welcome, I think, in this state to some folks who aren't yet convinced that this is as red as it really appears to be in some cases.
Todd, I'm following that Texas race through your reportage. You've commented on the surge of early voting. Who benefits from it, if we know?
We're not 100% sure, but it seems likely that it is the Democrat Beto O'Rourke who is benefiting from the surge, because he's really the X factor. We have early voting at levels that are like a presidential race. It is extraordinary. We've seen a 500% increase in younger voters, which almost certainly benefits the Democrat. Look, you know, this is a race between 2 completely polar opposite guys. This is Ted Cruz, who brought the federal government to a screeching halt with a government shutdown over Obamacare, and you have Beto O'Rourke, who really came to national prominence by taking a 2,000-mile bipartisan road trip with a Republican congressman when they got snowed in back to D.C. The choice that